Hey mama, I'm Trish, and I need to tell you something that might tick off some people in the birth world. Birth doesn't have to be terrifying. It just needs to stop being a stinking mystery. After 16 years as a labor and delivery nurse, catching over 1,000 babies and birthing 6 of my own, I got fed up watching scared, unprepared moms walk into delivery rooms. So I created the birth education I wish every mama had. Real talk from someone who's been on both sides of that delivery room door. Right now, I'm giving you everything: my 3 signature birth courses, monthly support calls, my brand new birth pod class, and 30 days free in our mama membership. Plus, I'm shipping you my labor birth comb absolutely free. This little tool is a game changer for natural pain relief during contractions. That's over $4,300 worth of birth education, plus a physical tool delivered to your door. Your body was made for this, mama, but you need to know your options. Get the Calm Birth Bundle at labornursemama.com/calm, CALM, because confident mamas have better births. You get a 14-day money-back guarantee, lifetime access, and it's available right now inside our app. Stop letting birth be a mystery. Get educated, get empowered, get the bundle, and get your birth comb free. Good morning, everyone. I know that I say this often, but I am so excited about today's guest. Funny enough, she's in Nashville, which is funny because we're on Riverside anyway. Today's guest is Sydney Dozier. I had to make sure I could say it right before I said it for you guys. And then I botched her first name, which we're going to edit out, but it was funny. Anyway, she is a local to Nashville. I'll let you tell your story. But I was on her podcast, and I'm going to let her tell you about that as well. But welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, Trish. It's so good to be with you in this environment. I'm so excited. I was so honored. I told my assistant, I was like, she wants me on her podcast? Okay, here we go. I was just so honored and humbled and excited to pour into your community and love your community, your very big community that you have built. So very excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited too. So tell everybody a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to talk about your birth experiences, obviously. But I also wanted to talk about how does a boss ass mom who runs a business, I'm really lucky in a sense, and I have a lot of my clients that I coach who are still in the throes of pregnancy and babies and toddlers. I have 7, but my youngest is 10. And so I started Labor Nurse Mama with him under my desk. We had a special basket of toys. He was 3. Kind of 2.5 to 3 is when I first started, but really going hard when he was 3. And so I don't remember those days as much, but I would love for us to talk about not only your birth experiences, but navigating pregnancy and postpartum emotions and all of those things. Or sometimes I know it can be a blessing to get to go to the office as well. So
I feel like this is probably going to be a therapy session for me, Trish, because it's I am so new to working mom life. And I'm I love talking about it, though. I am fascinated by women like you that have just done it for so long, and you're a veteran in this space, and then just this new age, new business sort of era we're in as working modern day mothers that are navigating building businesses through social media and what that looks like with having kids. And, mine are little. I have a 4-month-old and a 3-year-old. And so whenever I tell that to people, they're like, okay, so you're really in it right now. And everyone keeps saying that. They either say you're really in it or you're in the messy middle. And I'm always it's just news to me, because I'm just taking it day by day. We're just figuring it out as we go. That's kind of my mom style. That's my birth style. That's my business style. We're just figuring it out as we go along. But it's been a lot, and going from 1 to 2 has really, I'm not going to lie, really rocked me. It's been so much. It's really, to be honest, the biggest thing that it's done for me is it's changed my why in what I'm doing. And I think I'll kind of give you the origin story for building Renaissance, but essentially 10 years ago, I started Renaissance Marketing Group. We're a full service social media marketing agency here in Nashville. We have clients across the country. We've scaled. We have an incredible team that's, content creators, designers, video editors. Like we're just a very, small but mighty, very, very talented creative team that really understands these platforms and how to serve these platforms and the algorithm, old owl, I like to call it, what it wants in the current moment to
old
really
owl, that picky old soul.
Old owl. He is really a particular gentleman.
Yeah.
And, really leveraging the platforms so that our brands and the clients we represent can truly grow on social media and have longevity and really feel like we're staying really true to who they are, even though we're an agency representing the business. But I started it being really burnt out. I was working as a marketing director for a museum in Nashville. I had really moved to Nashville to be a singer-songwriter, which is a whole other story. After about a year of playing all the places, Bluebird Cafe, Listening Room, like all these different places, I really quickly realized music was not going to be my long-term thing. It was like I had so many friends that were like, it's a 10-year town. You really have to go all in. You've got to be. And I'm the kind of person where I'm like all or nothing. And as soon as I got here, I was talented, but I was like, it's going to take so much longer for me to be successful in this. And I feel like I have other strengths and talents that I can bring to serve and to make money, essentially. And so I started dabbling in social media. This was in 2011 and 12. And I started kind of getting little social media marketing gigs when social media was such a different landscape than it is now.
Yeah. I mean, in 2017, it was totally different than it is now.
Like, you're so right. We talked about that
insane
when you were on the show. Yeah. Like it's so insane how much it changes. And so, 2012, the world was like Twitter and Facebook for business was
and no short form video pressure.
No, exactly. My team and I talk about that all the time. We're like 3 years ago, we would deliver content decks to clients that would have maybe 3 videos in the whole deck of a monthly calendar. And now it's, there's 30 videos we're delivering. So it's like, it's so much. But we basically, in a nutshell, I got that role through the Johnny Cash Museum. I started doing their social media, kind of built my career path there and really could see a future, but I was so burnt out. I was so unhappy. I really didn't like my manager. I was really just working for the man. There was a lot of patriarchy in the situation. And I wanted to be my own girl. I wanted to like have my own future and have autonomy over my schedule and all the things why we want to be entrepreneurs. So I actually moved back in with my parents for like a hot second.
So you were single.
Yes.
Like, we've come full spectrum.
Like I was just a girl existing, trying to find my way. I was, 21, college dropout. Like I had found success without having a college degree, which is a big part of my story and is definitely how I hire today. I really don't care about college degrees. I really care about what you do in your portfolio and like your work ethic. But for me, I knew that working for the man, if you will, I just couldn't fit into that working environment. Mm-hmm. And so I moved back in with my parents, which was really hard for me to do, but I had to do it. Took a 4-month sabbatical, which I didn't know what sabbatical was at the time, but I think about it now and I'm like, man, those 4 months, that was when I really went inward, like figured out what self-care was, figured out like what I needed. And it gave me the idea to start Renaissance Marketing Group because I was like, I am so good at social media. Like I understand it. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I'm very creative. The songwriter in me, like I can put captions together, all the things that make a good social media manager. And so I was like, I need to do this for other businesses. There's a gap in the market at that time, 2014. There was not a lot of social media managers. So I was able to grow really quickly and find people that were like, wait, we want you. We need someone to do this Facebook thing, but we don't know how to do it. This is perfect for you to come in and do this for us. So, I was undercharging as you do as an early service provider. I mean, I think I was charging I think my first client, Trish, was like $250 a month. Like
holy smokes. But again, you didn't have to do video.
Again, I didn't have to do video editing.
Yeah.
So it was like, posting a couple pictures probably a week. And I'm sure it wasn't great, but my clients were like, this is awesome. And, started growing and met my now husband. We actually went to middle school and high school together, just to kind of give you that full story, because I had moved back into my hometown. So I had left Nashville for a hot second.
Okay.
I had a house in Nashville that I put on Airbnb so that I could pay the mortgage and kind of pay the bills and then move back in with my parents, and kind of was on social media and reconnected with Nick, who's my now husband. We'd never dated in middle school or high school, but we knew each other. We had like mutual friends and things like that. And he messaged me one day and was like, I saw you're back in Georgia. Like, you want to grab a beer? And we grabbed a beer, and the rest really kind of is history. I convinced him after a couple of years of dating in Georgia, I convinced him that we needed to move back into that house that I had put on Airbnb, because it was a great house, great townhome, a lot of space. I'm like, Nashville's way better than Atlanta. Sorry to any Georgia people.
It is true. It is true.
It's so true.
I know.
Atlanta's not, it was just not my vibe.
It's different.
And it's different. Yeah. And he's just such a Nashville guy. Like, if you know Nick, like, he's just like salt of the earth, like Tennessee, like he's just such a good dude. And so we moved into the house, got engaged like a year later, and then, continued building the business, started hiring, which was really like a new big exciting thing for me. I think my first hire was 2018, and then started building and scaling the business. I can really see the vision of it. But the word renaissance is such a important word, not only in my business life, but just in my life overall, because the definition of it is a rebirth of creativity, energy, and opportunity in something. And at that point, when I named the business, I was so needing a rebirth in my life. Like, I was so needing this resurge and, like I said, rebirth of energy and creativity and the opportunity that the business would bring me. And so it felt so natural. That's now what we do for our clients, where you come into our world at Renaissance, and we are going to 360 your business through giving you a renaissance from a visual standpoint, from a profitability standpoint, from a scaling standpoint, engagement standpoint, and just overall experience with working with us. We want it to feel like a rebirth, like you're excited to pour into your social media because you have a team that you feel is very aligned with your business. So that's what we do. We also do summits, because I'm obsessed with women entrepreneurs like you, Trish. So we do the Renaissance Women's Summit, which you and I have chatted
about. I want to come to. Yes.
Labor Nurse Mama is going to be very involved. And I love it. Annual summit for women entrepreneurs. It's a day-long event. It is my favorite day of the whole year. It's like Christmas. It's just a day where we learn, we, pour into each other. We, gain education, empowerment. We cover very tactical business things, which is something you and I share, that of like, we want it to feel tactical and applicable, and like something that you can immediately learn and then put into your business. So the next conference we will do, it's probably going to be March or April 2026. We're like actually the most behind we've ever been with summit planning, because I had a baby a few months ago. So I'm giving myself grace. But
you know what? It's probably going to be your best one.
I love that energy. I love that.
Yeah. I just feel like it will be your best one.
Well, I'm here for that, because right now I'm very much like, we're easing into it. I'm giving myself
don't let yourself tell yourself a different story. Just be like, you know what you're doing. You've done it enough. This is going to be your best one. And I was even thinking about your sabbatical, because my mastermind, which I renamed it, now it's the Sold Out Strategy Mastermind, but I call them the Catalyst Queens when they come in. And I was thinking about your sabbatical, even though it was a season of rest, it was also that catalyst, which is like a reaction going into a change, like undergoing this big change for you.
Yes. And it was like that pause, everything before my life completely changed. And I think in that pause, though, I was happy because I was like pouring into myself, but I was also like nervous. I had pressure from the outside of like, at this time, all of my girlfriends were crushing in their careers and getting engaged and like getting married and starting that process in their 20s. And I was just sort of like back with mommy and daddy, but I just felt like it was the thing I needed to do so that I could give myself that time to fly. And that's exactly what happened. So I love that you just said that. It was the catalyst for my change, for sure.
Yeah. And I love that for all of you guys listening, whether you've given birth yet, you're thinking about having a baby, wherever you are in your journey, we get to decide what that means for us. No one else does. And so even in a season, so I just got off of a hangout with my mamas. So if they join my courses, we have a weekly hangout or a couple times a month. And one of my new moms jumped onto the hangout for the pregnant moms, which they can always come. They know that. But she's 2 weeks postpartum and she couldn't even turn her camera on. She's crying and she's just beating herself up. And I feel like no matter what stage you are, so even like I'm laughing about them saying you're in the messy middle, like what does that actually mean? Because I have kids up to 35, right? And down to 10. And what is the messy middle? Because like, look at your parents. They opened up their home to you. Like, I just feel like we as women, especially because it's probably women saying that to you, need to stop saying some of the things that we say to other moms, especially a new mom, and just encourage them. Use words of affirmation and be like, you are doing amazing right where you are.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. It's so true because it is like you share the ages of your kids. My mom was just saying, my mom had 4, and she just said to me on the phone yesterday, similar to this conversation, she was like, when I would tell people I had 4 kids, just like I'm sure you with 7, the immediate reaction is, oh, I'm so sorry. Or,
Or
oh God,
don't you know what causes that? I
right?
heard that all the time.
Yeah, like,
Like it's a
know?
mistake.
It's like, why does it have to be looked at like it's a mistake? Like just like I'm like you, I am obsessed with my kids. I
Right.
think sure, I'm not sleeping super well. I have a 4-month-old. She's regressed. Like, of course, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. And that's what I'm saying. Like, my why has changed so much because I'm like, my why used to be Renaissance all day long, baby. And it still is.
Yeah.
But it is so much now. Like, my eyes are just, I can see so much more clearer. Like, my children are like literally everything to me. And I
Yeah.
think what's so cool about back to like modern day mamas is like, we can love that so much and what we do so much.
Yes. And there's no shame in that. Like, there's no shame. I will say, I don't know about you, but I feel like when you own your own business and you just love your business so much, it's hard to turn off at times.
Totally.
And so, like, one of the things I do with my coaching clients is like, we set boundaries. And so, you need to have focus time where you're, especially when you do social media, it bleeds into everything because that stupid phone is in your hand all the time. But just have times where you're just with your kids and don't feel guilty that you're not checking in or, oh my gosh, I forgot this or that. And then also that same focus time on your business, which you have an office. I work at home.
Right.
Which makes it a little harder. But my son is gone he goes to a homeschool tutorial. So he's gone a couple days a week and he's grown up with labor nurse mama.
Right.
So he doesn't know me as going to long shifts. And like my daughter just said to him, because he was complaining that I was in here working. And she said, Grayson, I used to like have to wait like 13 hours for mom to come home.
Oh my God.
And because when you work as a nurse, like it's long. So I love that you're even saying that because I do feel like a lot of women now I hate to say that about the older generation, but I do feel like it's different when you own your own business or you're doing something you love. And I don't think a lot of older women had that freedom to choose something they really loved.
It's a generational thing. I definitely feel that. I mean, even my mom says that to me. She's like, I can't relate to, she was a stay-at-home mom. So she's like, I can't relate to a lot of the struggles that you have. And I think that's why I love this conversation so much, because I think that's why I adore everything you do, that community of other women that are so passionate about what they do, but they also are so passionate about being moms and their kids. That is like the most beautiful thing. And I think we really need each other because it like lights me up to hear you talk about it. And even like hearing how you brought your son into a lot of what you do. I'm like, oh, wow. I guess like I need to hear things like that, because I think with my 3-year-old, he sees me at home, on my phone and working on my laptop. And I'm really trying to figure out how I can be better about that. Because as you know, like when you run a business, you can have an office, you can have a brick and mortar and then come home and there's still fires going on in Slack.
And you have to put them out.
In email and you have to put them out. And then, there's no one else. Like I have an assistant, I have a team, but there's certain things that only I can do. And so I do have to like figure out how I, don't want him to like see me with my computer all the time and like see me with my phone. And I really, really try, like Labor Day weekend, I was like, I threw my phone. Like I was like, I am taking this time, and it was so very good for me. But I do think it's going to be a forever, like balance of it.
A juggle.
Word balance, but
Yeah. And then it gets even like more difficult in certain ways to figure out how to navigate both when they have their own schedule.
Yeah.
Like it's like right now, like before Grayson started the tutorial in sports, it was like all around my schedule.
Right.
And now I'm like having to like, oh
The
wait,
opposite.
oh wait, does he have something that day? Like
I
he has a
can't even
schedule? What?
can't
Yeah.
even imagine that. Like everyone's like, "Are you gonna put Sawyer in sports?" And I'm like, "Yeah, if he wants to." But wow, my husband and I haven't even considered what that's gonna do for us. Cause we have the kids and we're doing the things with the kids. We're also like selfish in our careers. Like
Yeah.
we're like doing our thing. We have childcare. So that's gonna be an interesting change. And I know that like
Yeah.
seasons constantly change too.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that's what one of my sons had his 30th birthday this weekend and they were all there. And of course, they all have advice on parenting, even though they're not parents. And they were all like, are you going to let him play football? And I'm like, no, he's not playing football because my older boys played football and they all have some sort of injury,
oh,
long lasting injury, and we didn't know about head injuries back then or
right.
anything. And I said, no, but also they practice 5 days a week and they have games all day on Saturday. And I own a business. I can't do that. And they were like, well, that's not fair. And I'm like, yeah, well, he gets to travel the world.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
trade off.
Trade-off. Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the injury thing. I'm like, you're saying that and I'm cringing. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah.
My precious
No, he did flag football and we've let him like do other things, but I'm just not up for and the chances of him going pro is a little slim. So, not saying that, baby. I hope you don't listen to this.
Right. No, you're amazing.
You can't go pro because mommy won't let you play.
Yeah. Sorry. We love you.
But yeah, so I would love to hear. I know we started talking a little bit about your birth because I think I'm going to put this on both podcasts because I have Sold Out Sales School and I have the birth experience. And I feel like both sides of these women need to hear this. But we talked a little bit about like just feeling like out of control and not feeling like you're the queen of the ship. And I'm interested in you in particular because I was just saying to my hangout, like I see these women who are so like boss ass, like take control, do all the things, and they walk in the labor room, they're like, whatever.
That's me.
Yeah.
Nailed me.
So why do you think that? Why do you think that we as really strong-willed women lay down our rights to a doctor?
It's so crazy. And I was literally thinking that driving here today because I was like, I know Trish is going to ask me about this and I know this is going to be a part of it. And it's so true. Like my personality, like I'm exactly that. I'm so ambitious. I'm like, have to call the shots, do all the things. But with my firstborn, so 3 years ago, I'll say I can be a very trusting person too, almost to a fault. Like that's a theme in my life where like, if you come into my world, you come to work for me, if you come to be a client, if you come to be a friend or whatever, I kind of like automatically have so much trust in you. And the biggest learning kind of thing I had with baby one and then baby two and those birth experiences was like just so much trust and really no questions asked. Like with that first one, like I was very much like, hey, okay, I'm pregnant. Okay, I'm going to go to this specific, I'm not going to name hospitals just because,
Okay.
But this one hospital in
Girl,
Nashville,
I don't care.
I know. Well, it's more so I'm like, don't want to, I don't know, have people.
Because I say this to my ladies all the time, we also want them to like us. That gets in the way a lot of time in the birth room. And I try to tell my students, like, this is a job for them. And even if they're irritated with you for that day, this is your birth forever.
Right. Yeah. It's so true. And I think they're very used to being able to manipulate things and like be able to find women like me in the situation of my firstborn where I didn't ask questions and I just nodded my head yes to literally everything that they said. And that was so horrible. Oh my gosh. Like I hate to like live life with regrets, but I have so many regrets about my first birth. And the thing that happened was I made it past my due date as you do with your first, right? Like that's pretty common. And I had heard that, but I was very desperate. But still silly. It was silly. I was fine. Physically, I was in the best shape of my life. I had such an easy pregnancy. I had no issues. Like I was perfect. I was like textbook perfect. And I go into my like 41 and a half week appointment, whatever. And they're like, how's it going? And I'm like, I'm just so over it. And everyone's blowing me up.
They're like, yes.
Yeah. They're like, intervention time.
Yeah,
And
I know exactly what you need.
and they were,
Yeah.
that's exactly how it happened. And they were literally like, Sydney, like, you're really complaining, like, whatever, you're uncomfortable. And like, but baby's perfect. They're literally like, your baby's perfect.
Yeah.
You could get induced. Like, this could be a thing that could happen. And
You could be
then
done.
we'll be done and you'll have your baby in the next, like, I don't know, 8 hours. And I was like, oh, and I looked at my husband and he was like, just like,
Whatever you want.
yeah, whatever you want. And I really, honestly, I'm so embarrassed to say, I knew what an induction was, but I also didn't know what an induction was.
Mhm.
Like, I had heard about it. My mom had one with me, but I didn't know what it entailed.
Which normalized it in your brain as well.
Totally, because I had heard
Yeah.
people that had it.
So my
then
mom
I'm
was
like,
induced. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like, that's going to be fine. And so again, trust. I immediately trusted that that was the best option for me from a medical standpoint, even though, again, there was nothing wrong with me. There was no
Yeah.
reason I should have done that. It was just that I was impatient and I was over it, which is just
Well, and in the provider's defense, which you know that I'm the first to speak out,
Mhm.
it isn't on them for you to be educated. Moms think that the doctors will educate them, but they don't. They're just doing their job.
Yeah, true. So that's a good point to make too. So they were like, hey, we got a bed, check in at
Let's
8.
get it while we have one.
Get
Yeah.
going. Yeah, right. Like,
Yeah.
let's just get you in there. And so checked in, started the Pitocin process, immediately had like the most insane contractions. And that's the other thing is, like, up until the second baby I just had in April, I had never felt like a real organic contraction. It was like my only experience having Rowan. Like, I was like, oh, I've only ever had the Pitocin contractions, which, as you know, are like intense as crazy. And they come
Well, you
on.
don't get that natural buildup. You don't have those natural endorphins that help you handle them.
It was literally like they flipped a light switch and it went from no pain to the most excruciating.
My midwife said it's like getting in a Maserati and hitting the gas all the way to the floor. You don't get any kind of like Toyota like slow go till you get up to it. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. And that's why I loved my second birth, because I actually felt the real ones, and it was like water broke. And then I slowly but surely was able to
and you acclimate.
And so with the contraction, so, basically we did that process for, I think 7 or so hours. I got the epidural. So I got the epidural. The epidural was fine. Basically, my contractions were not too close. That they weren't close together enough. Sorry, I'm probably going to not articulate this very well. And so they were like, we want to put more Pitocin in your body. So of course.
So they needed to put a pressure catheter in you probably too.
Probably. I don't remember that. But they were having to increase the Pitocin. Sawyer's heart rate would drop every single time they would increase the Pitocin. So we did that dance for a very long time. And I was such an anxious mess because of my baby. They're like, we don't like that his heart is doing that every time we do the Pitocins, but your contractions are not doing what we want them to do, to dilate you, to do all the things. And so, we need to start having the C-section conversation. And I was like, no shame.
Hold up. You said I'd be holding my baby in 8 hours.
Yeah. I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, they knew I did not want a C-section, like no shame around a C-section. I think there's a time and a place for it, but I was like, why do I need to have a C-section? And they're like, well, because, his heart rate, and we can't just keep doing this all night. It's just not, they needed to have, get it out, whatever. And so I said, well, can I just push? And I don't remember exactly how dilated I was, but I think I was dilated enough to where they were like, we can do some practice pushes and just kind of see what happens. So I'm, you tell me C-section, I'm going to go push as hard as I can freaking push. So I pushed, and then his head starts coming out. And everyone in the room was like, oh my God, we did not expect that to happen. Like, holy crap. Head starts coming out. But again, contractions were not doing their thing to actually support getting the baby out. So then he keeps getting stuck, and then he goes back in, and then he comes out.
Yeah, I can't wait for you guys to watch the video, because she's literally like putting her head in.
Yeah, it's it was like that sensation, and it was
a little turtle.
Yeah. And then they lost the heartbeat that was around the thing tied around me. So then they had to put the thing on his head. And then
which they don't adequately educate you on that either. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I mean, that was a necessary time. That was a necessary time, but they'll do it a lot. And I won't say what hospital I used to work at, but the one I used to work at in this area, we had a doctor that would go in his rounds in the morning to all of his inductions, break their water, and put that monitor on the baby's head at 1 to 2 centimeters. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Your situation was actually appropriate use of, it's called a fetal scalp electrode, if you guys are wondering, and I have tons of education on it, but it's invasive. It actually coils. I did have one in my drawer, but it's actual coil that twists into the baby's scalp.
Yes. He like had like a mark on his head from it was like really,
sometimes it'll pull a little piece of their scalp off.
Yeah, I think he had a little blood, and that was really kind of terrifying. So that was great. So then basically they had to do an episiotomy because they were like, you're pushing as hard as you can. We think we can get this baby out, but he's stuck in there.
Did they do a vacuum too?
No, I don't think they did a vacuum, but it was like as soon as they did the episiotomy, thank God for the epidural in that situation, he pretty much flew out at that point. So once that happened, they give the baby, baby's fine, all good. But then it's all the things that happen right after that. They start to sew me up, and I had an intern sewing me up. Okay. I will never. Which
I don't recommend. You guys always put on your birth plan, no interns.
Yes, please.
I don't care if they're doing your epidural. I don't care. Birth is not the time for practicing. I think.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, I can't believe
because it is your birth experience.
It's in my first experience too. Like my first.
There's always people who are willing to do it.
So the gal is she's 20 years old. She's sewing me up, and she's looking at the OB, the midwife, and she's got this look on her face like something's not right. And my husband looks at the doctor and says,
"As she's repairing your vagina,
as she's sewing up my vagina," and the doctor looks down, and then the nurse comes and presses on my uterus, and blood starts gushing. So this is, terrible, but I start hemorrhaging from this experience. And all of a sudden, when that happens in a birth room, as 35 doctors and people and anesthesiologists come running into the room.
It's scary for you and your partner.
It's extremely traumatic. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, the thing that pissed me off the most was that the baby just went to Nick as soon as all of this has happened. Like he's like getting cleaned up, but then some nurse just gave the baby to Nick. Nick's a new dad. Nick's never held a 5-minute-old baby in his life. He doesn't know what to do. And then they all rush me to the OR in that moment. So then Nick is
left. And they don't talk to him?
No. They leave him in the room.
That is an incident report, in my opinion. Like they should have done an incident report on that. That is not acceptable. There's always at least one nurse or someone who can talk to the family members.
I mean,
and I don't care who's in there, whether it's your mom, your cousin, or your partner, this is their family member.
Yeah. I mean,
and he's left with a newborn.
He was left with a newborn, and I was, of course, going to breastfeed. So he was like, what do I do? So I'm gone. I'm in the OR. Has to go into the hallway with the newborn and be like, can I get some help? And then they're like, oh.
He probably got yelled out for carrying the baby out in the hallway too, because you're not allowed to do that.
And he's like, hello, like, and so then, he gets served. And then in the OR, they basically told me, they're like, we have to give you blood. You lost a significant amount of blood, and a part of your placenta got stuck. And so we have to get your placenta out. And then we have to put the balloon in you to like contract your uterus back down to normal.
Yeah.
Yes. And so that happened. And literally, I think an hour later, I was back and I was holding the baby, and it was fine. Like nothing had happened. And I had the midwife. Because
it's everyday normal for us.
I had the midwife come in, and it's true. The way everyone acted it was just so normal. As the midwife came in, but this is what she said to me, which was the worst thing ever, Trish. She said,
I'm so scared.
I recommend you go to therapy after this experience. And she said, I've never had to do an episiotomy in my 25 years of practice. And I'm like, well, why do you have to tell me that? Like, why does that need to be information that's helpful right now? Like, first of all, please don't tell me I need to go to therapy after my, like
there are certain ways to communicate things that doesn't add to the drama.
Right. And it was just it was such a bizarre thing. So we did consult a lawyer after that experience. He kind of was like, I don't really think there's anything here, but we really felt like the whole process was just just with the intern and the looks on everyone's faces and just, it just was so, nothing was prepared. But, like I said, regret, like I go back and I'm like, hindsight, I feel that if I did not have that induction and I would have just let the baby come when the baby was ready, I think that we would have avoided a lot of that. I really do. So,
but that is your story,
it
and
is the
you
story.
learned from it, and you are who you are now because of having experienced that. And you're also able to, like, where I am like, don't do this and you should do this and here's why. Now I do tell my ladies, like I just had the call and one of my girls was like, I'm being induced. And I was like, okay, first, do you want to be induced? And she was
Right.
like, yeah, she's had a really hard pregnancy. I said, okay, then now let's talk about the plan. I'm not going to be like, oh no, you should
Right.
not be induced, but I'm going to educate her. And we came up with a plan to prep her cervix, get her ready as much as possible before she walks through that door. And then she knows that because it is a cascade of interventions. However, you can put your foot in the door and
Right.
stop it. So like not letting them break your water. That if they hadn't broken your water and baby wasn't tolerating Pitocin, you can go home and take a break and come back later or come back in 3 days,
And
but
I
you don't
wish
know that.
I would have known that, that would have.
Well, they over on this coast, they're not going to tell you that. I
Right.
can't tell you how many inductions we send home in California.
Wow.
In
That's
Seattle.
unheard of here, right? They do not do, they don't let you leave.
Well, and it's not just the staff, because a lot of parents, like even if we have to reschedule or bump your inductions, like parents will freak out because they're like, I'm coming to have my baby.
Right.
So like even telling a mom who's already set her heart on, like, I'm going to have the baby today or tonight. And then you're like, we probably should stop and maybe go home. But they educate their parents on that there.
Right.
Here, it's like you go in to be induced, you're going to have a baby one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
So if they would educate, like, we can try, but it may not be the right plan for you, but they're not going to do that either.
Nope. It was very all or nothing. It was very like, you're walking into this hospital, you're going to have this baby.
And they don't like you to go to 41 weeks in 5 days.
No. I mean, they were like, but the thing is with the midwife program that I was with, they didn't really they didn't tell me 42, like they didn't say it was like, we're super,
they weren't pushing timing.
You. But with my second born, I had her at St. Thomas and they were very much like, hey, like law of the hospital, you cannot.
That's where I worked, but in Murfreesboro. Yeah.
So not to name names, but that's it. Yeah. That was where I had my second baby. First baby, I won't say, but it was another very, very large hospital here in Nashville.
Well, when I first moved here back from Florida, so I started my career in Chattanooga, went back to Florida, but did the majority of my career all over the US, but mostly the West Coast, which is totally different. Mm-hmm. And when I first moved here in 2018, they were still taking the baby after the golden hour to the nursery for bath and all of that within a few hours of birth. And I went to I guess she was the nurse manager or the director of the floor. And I was like, like, why are we separating them? Like some of my patients would not see their baby for like 4 to 6 hours after birth. They'd have their first hour. Then we would take them to postpartum. Maybe we did 2 hours. But the baby would go to the nursery and mom would go. I don't think they do that anymore. I need to ask one of my friends, Sarah, because I know she thinks the same way as I do. But that was just normal to them. And the problem in the South, in California, you have a ton of travel nurses and you have a ton of transients, which Nashville's kind of that way. But in labor and delivery, it's a weird bubble where in like smaller towns, especially like Murfreesboro and outside, like a lot of the ladies will graduate and that's the only place they've ever worked. So they don't even know this is not the same or this is not normal. Now that social media, like I wasn't even in 2018, I had my blog and all of that, but I wasn't using social media the way I do now, which I probably would have gotten fired anyway. But they weren't as, I think a lot of labor nurses are also having their eyes open like, oh, I can't just walk in and say, okay, I'm going to check your cervix. Like I have to ask, so tell me about the second birth.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, I think, definitely went into it feeling way more empowered, way more educated, still nervous because of my past and what I had been through and just like the PTSD of it all, because it was so very traumatic. But I did a lot of research on doctors and asked a lot of friends and it was a whole different experience for me. Like, I was like, I'm going to go all in. I think also from a business standpoint, as a business owner, my business was in a healthier place in 2025 going into having this baby than it was in 2022. 2022,
plus we were on the end of COVID too in 2022.
Everything was,
turned upside down.
And yeah, I had to wear a mask like going into like that birth. Like it was still very much so in weird, that time. Right? Yeah. And with social media at that time too, it was, my business was like, it was just chaos because everyone wanted social media. We were growing like crazy.
Mine was chaos in 2022.
Oh, it was such a chaotic year to run a business, to do anything, just to exist. But 2025, we were in a better place, and I really was equipping myself just in a better state so I could have more time to pour into myself and my birth and like what I really wanted. So I did make a birth plan. I did do the research, find an OB. The other thing with having Sawyer, my midwife, I had a different midwife every time I saw the doctors. I had a different person every single time. How many times do you go to the doctor when you're pregnant? Like a million. You go so many times. And I always had a new girl, and I would always be like, oh, I really like you. Like, can you be my person next time? And they'd be like, no, we rotate. So it'll be somebody else, but it'll be someone great. And so I never really knew who it was going to be. And
you didn't have a relationship.
I didn't have a relationship. So going into Rowan's birth, like I really wanted the same person. So I asked around, I found a really great, awesome OB who I really loved. And she just really listened to me. She read my file, of course, like that first appointment. She was like, okay, so you have had a lot in your birth experience in the past. Like you've had this. She's like, girl, you've almost had everything gone wrong, like in your birth. And she's like, we're going to not let any of that happen. And I immediately felt better hearing her say that. I told her, I was like, I want to do everything in my power with baby 2 to not get induced. Like, I know I'm not a doctor. I am not trying to be, but in my gut, I do feel that all of my issues stemmed around that induction. And
I'm sure she semi-agreed.
She did. She was like, okay. It's very possible. She was and is pro-Pitocin. So I will say, like, she told me in that first appointment, she was like, I don't want you to think Pitocin is like the worst thing in the world. She's like, I do think there's a time and a place for it. So,
as long as you stick to that.
Yeah. Like she was like, we're not just going to like put Pitocin on you just for the heck of it. Like there's going to be an intention behind it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good because there was no intention behind it with Sawyer. Yeah. So thankfully I made it, I did make it past 40 weeks with Rowan, and I think we were right at 41. And she was like, okay, we need to chat because St. Thomas, we cannot have you past 42 weeks. And I was like, okay, well, can I every day this week, can we do a membrane sweep and just sort of see what happens?
Yes. Yeah.
We started with membrane sweeps and, so painful, but like worth it for me because I think the third one, my water broke in the appointment. And I remember this happened April 17th of this year, and my water broke on the table. And I just remember I was so happy, Trish. Like I was crying tears of joy because I was like, one, I was over it. I was like ready to not be pregnant anymore. But two, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be able to have my birth, like without the cause of the birth being just get you induced and have all of this, whatever. And I just felt so relieved. I was just so happy. And so water broke. She was like, okay. I was like, what do we do now? And she was like, go home, pack your bag. You're going to start getting contractions in the next couple of hours. We're going to get you set up at the hospital. We need you to check in around 3. So that happened around 12:30 in the afternoon. My husband and I went home.
And I would have kept you at home longer.
Yeah, it was kind of quick. Yeah.
I would have kept you at home until your contractions told you to go in.
I wish that I would have had that information. I wish that yes. I mean,
I knew that was coming there. And I'm also wondering, did she intentionally break your water or was it an accident?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
The labor nurse in me, we have some doctors that their water breaks all the time at the office. You're like, okay. But I don't know who it is, but it's okay. It worked out, but I would have kept you home. So next baby, we just need to stay at home longer. Because if your water breaks, you're not necessarily in labor. Were you contracting regularly by 3:30?
Yeah. I mean, not like super close together, but like they were pretty painful around that point. Okay. 3:34.
Yeah. So I usually will tell mine, if you're not hitting your contraction rules, which for a second time mom, that would be less than 5 minutes apart for an hour.
Right.
Then I say in 12 hours, go in. Unless you're GBS positive, then it will change that a little. But that way you were.
Yeah.
So that might be why they wanted you to come in a little sooner.
Okay. Yeah, that was a weird thing too, having that bacteria thing. I was like, what is this? Like, why do I have this? Didn't have that with Sawyer, but yeah, so ended up, I wanted to go as long as I could without the old epidural. So I did. I think I made it like 5 hours. And then I was like, real contract. I was like, I've felt it. We've been here. Now I would like for these to go away. And we got the epidural. But the weird thing that happened at that point was the anesthesiologist told me that my scoliosis, which I had not heard really anyone say that I had scoliosis in a long time. I had heard it from a chiropractor maybe 10 years ago when I broke my tailbone. But he was like, had me on the table and he was like, your spine is not even. And so I'm trying to get the needle in, but like.
But you had an epidural with your first.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that, and it was fine. But he did he got the needle in and I did feel the numbing, but about a couple hours in, I could feel every ounce of contractions on my left side. And then
that's the worst.
Turn over to my left. And then I would feel it on my right side. Then I would turn on my right. But every time I would turn to one certain side, Rowan's heartbeat, like her heart rate would drop. And so then
she had a cord situation.
She had a cord situation. And so it was like, she didn't like when I was turning on one side, but then the side that felt better for her was the most painful side for me because my epidural was not working.
Yeah.
And then they were kind of overcompensating for the epidural by adding more like pain medication into my body. And then
so were you feeling woo-woo?
I think so. I can't even really remember. But basically my blood pressure would drop.
It was dropping.
With all the extra like fluid.
Okay. So they weren't putting something in your IV. They were just adding to your epidural.
Yes. Like I had like a little clicker.
That's a really common side effect is that drop in blood pressure. And then the baby's heart rate will go down.
And then they had to give me blood pressure medication to get my blood pressure back up. So then it was just
joy. Yeah.
Joy. And ultimately we finally got to 10 centimeters at like 2 in the morning. They were like, let's start pushing. And that was I will say that was really exciting for me because I was like, we're doing this, like it's happening. I just felt ready. I could feel that it was time. You know how it is. Everyone comes in the room and you're like, wait, like why are all these people here? And they're like, this is just protocol. And I couldn't really remember it being like that with Sawyer, but I'm sure it was. But 3 pushes, she came out in 3 pushes and it was great. And we didn't have any issues and we didn't have,
You didn't go back to the OR for an emergency hemorrhage kit.
So it was like, yay, like we had our birth moment and that was great. So yeah.
And you got to have your skin to skin.
And I got to have my skin to skin for a very
That was your redemptive birth.
Yes. And I was so happy. And then placenta came out and it was all fine. And yeah, it was good. I mean, it wasn't perfect. I definitely should have called you. I should have consumed more labor nurse mama content, but I'm proud.
Well, now you can tell all your friends.
Yes. Well,
because my friends are all too old. They're not having babies.
But for your listeners, I hope that anyone listening is getting some, insight based on my mistakes and things that went wrong. And like you said, don't be afraid to ask those questions. This is your birth. Like it should go exactly how you want it. And you can call the shots, sister.
And the thing about it is you can't promise anyone a perfect birth. Is there really a perfect birth? But what I tell my mamas is that I can promise you that you're going to understand each twist and turn and you'll know how to make the right decision based on your knowledge, not hoping someone else is going to make the best decision for you. Right. That's where we give up our power. And I was just saying on my hangout, I had a bunch of new moms tons of people coming from the podcast now, which I love. The podcast is the easiest part of my business. But anyway,
love that.
I had all these moms on here and I was like, I wish I could just take out of me and put into you guys what I have experienced and seen in the difference of women who come in adequately educated, because not all birth classes are created equally either. But the reason that I added in we call them pregnancy happy hours, because you could read it and your perception of it or what have you is one way, but then your doctor goes in and they say it differently. And you come to the hangout and not only do you have me, you have my doulas and you have the other moms. So like, maybe you're on there and you're pregnant with your second, and we've got another mom she hears it one way, but then you explain it in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it's just that community side. It's just like we were talking about AI. AI can never replace relationship.
Right.
And that's what I love about our hangouts. And I'll be real, there were seasons where I was having like a tough family situations, which most of my moms know. I went through hell with my ex. And it was really hard for me to show up, but I would show up and then I would listen to them. I'm like, yes, this is my why for my business. It's because I want to change the birth culture. I don't want women to have to experience that. And it's so maddening that it's still happening.
And I love your space too, because you really make it to where you're like, I don't care if you want to have a home birth, a natural birth, like whatever, you're like, it's your birth. And so I'm going to give you the education and the knowledge so that you can feel empowered to have your birth in the way that you want to have your birth. But like, it doesn't matter how you want to have it. Like,
no, I don't care if they get induced. I don't care if they want an epidural. I don't care. I will not play a role in coercing people or gaslighting or getting what I like. Even I've told this story, my listeners have heard, but I had baby number 4 and I took a Bradley class, which is like very all natural, right? And I actually just had a new client join the mastermind and she's a midwife. And we were talking, we're both crunchy-ish. We're not fully crunchy-ish. Like we like Starbucks, we like Botox, we've got those things, right? But we also like crunchy-ish. So my students say I'm crunchy with a side of medical, but I don't want to play a part in saying like the choice you've made. If you've educated yourself, like my mama today that's getting induced, like that's what she needs to do. She's made that choice. So I always say nothing out of convenience or curiosity unless it's for you.
Yeah.
So like if you want to get a cervical exam, go for it. I did. Even though I tell you they're not necessary, they're not. But I am type A. I like to know what's going on. But it can also mess with your head. So that's really, really important to me. And there's not many out there like me who supports all the things. Like they might be narrowed down into like all natural or whatever. And there's a time and a place for that. But even if you're planning a home birth, you need to understand the hospital system.
Yeah.
Because you might end up there. And then if you end up there, you're going to be in the same boat the rest of us are in.
Yeah.
And so it is really important.
Having like that non-judgment zone too, I think is huge. Because I think even going into having your first, like speaking from experience, like you are ignorant because you just are. And I think that for a lot of women that's scary to live in that space. And so then you can kind of just go inward like I did and just sort of not ask for advice because you're like, I don't want to come across sounding stupid because I don't know anything about birth. And so coming into your world.
And they went to school for it and they've trained for it. So they of course know more than I do.
Right.
And the thing about it is it's your body and you know your body better than any of us.
Right.
That's the part that gets left out.
Yeah. That is the part that gets left out. That's the part that's not talked about enough. And like, that's the part that I think women should go all in on is like, being in tune with your body and knowing that like, that's so powerful.
And understanding that all these rights we fought for include in the birth room because there you are the queen.
Yeah.
I say this all the time. The one thing that has to be in the birth room is you for a birth to happen.
You're
not me.
You're it.
Not. You're the queen. Yeah. And so, I loved this conversation, but I know my pregnant mamas do not like to listen to long podcasts. So this was a long one, you guys.
Going forever. Sorry, guys. I'm chatty.
But tell everyone where they can find you, especially because I have a lot of business owners who follow and where can they find you?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm Socially Sydney on Instagram. That's my personal where I'm like dabbling in like kids and building the business. And then our company Instagram is Renaissance Marketing. And then our summit, which is coming soon, which will be next spring. Trish, we're going to talk to you about. It's Renaissance Women Summit. And then the podcast is the Renaissance Podcast. You can listen to our episode with Trish on
Yes,
the
and she has
podcast.
such a cute little room for it. I'm so jealous. When
Very
we build
cute.
our house, I'm going to have a cute little room.
I
can't
love
wait.
your chairs. We have those same chairs in our office, so love.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got my favorite chair over there. That chair was the biggest pain in my booty, let me tell you. I got it from Wayfair. It came completely dinged up. So we ordered another one. That came dinged up. And I was like, I'm getting that chair. It's going to happen.
That's it. That's the vision. It's on the vision board. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Trish, appreciate you, girl.
Yes, thank you guys for listening. And as always, hit subscribe, leave a review, tell us what you loved about this episode. And just remember, you are not alone. You have every right to speak up, and you have a right to have the experience that you want. Okay, you guys, love you. See you next Friday. Bye for now.